YouTube's getting up and running. Welcome everybody. Vibes with T.Cook. How are we doing? It's a lovely Sunday evening. If you're living in the UK, what a lovely autumn we've been having, eh? All these people that are concerned about global warming, and I'm just like, well, for England it sounds really good. We might just have slightly better winters, less worse, even better summers, less rain, more heat. And when you think about it, someone put this in perspective for me. It's like, yeah, so if it's like warmer, then less energy used on heating. Ha ha ha. But yes, I have an upcoming podcast guest who's going to be very, very interesting, dealing with a whole bunch of things related to the climate con. And Paul Burgess is his name. He has a video called "More CO2, Please," if you can believe it. If you can believe that is such a name for a video. How controversial is that? Does it get more anti-narrative than that? That's why I think that's partly why I'm so attracted to this whole idea that CO2 might actually be good for the environment and all of this. Because it's being pushed so hard, and it's just like, yes, maybe this is so against the mainstream narrative that I'm just instantly curious. Like, okay, cool. So I'm gonna be that guy's gonna be coming up. That'll be a really interesting show. And I've got 3 guests lined up for the Open1 podcast, and yeah, it's coming along nicely. Nearly at 20 episodes. If you haven't already checked it out, go to traviscook.uk/podcast, and you can check out all of the previous episodes. Nearly on 20 episodes now. Something that I've been doing for, I don't know, at least half a year. And I will continue to do for the years to come. There'll be plenty of high quality content with high quality people, a bunch of interesting stories there, and businesses, alternative media, and healers, and everything there that's just against the narrative. Activists, gurus, if you like, spiritual teachers, a bunch of cool, interesting people. Someone's saying we're still dealing with Trudeau. Yes, we're still dealing with the global corruption around the world, but I saw something really interesting that happened in Canada, and that was the Alberta Premier standing up against the World Economic Forum. That was pretty huge. Like, her speech was like, yeah, give fuck to the World Economic Forum. The fact that you've corrupted and penetrated many governments is not a good thing. We don't want to be dealing with you. And I was like, wow, that seems pretty powerful and pretty inspiring. So I'm really curious what happens there and if that continues to gain momentum. I did a video on TikTok with that, and it got into the algorithm and got me like 7,500 views, and that's more than I'm getting on like on this account, Open1 Podcast, the Instagram, 52,000 followers, but the shadow banning is so severe that I'm not even getting that many views on this account, and it's a huge account and it deserves to be getting more reach, but it's shadow banned by the Instagram gods. Thankfully, it still exists. However, I'm curious, even now with these live streams, I think the next one I'm going to try it on my personal account. So if you haven't already, let me just get this up. Follow my personal account because that isn't shadow banned for now. And hopefully it will remain unshadow banned because I'm a bit more careful with the content I post there. I mean, it's uncensored in many ways, is it's like, it's other stuff that I like find interesting, but if you talk about certain things, then it obviously gets highlighted and flagged. But for now, it's not shadow banned. And then obviously follow me on Rumble if you haven't already. It's just Open1 UK. Yes, there's always a way. I will never actually stop creating content. That's the thing. In one way or another, I will always be creating content. I'll always be getting my word out there, my voice out there, speaking the truth, standing up for what I believe is right, and improving myself and growing and learning as a human, and bringing everything that I discover to the people of this world. Many years ago, I dedicated my life to this service, and that's basically it. That's it. Until I'm dead, or we achieve like a full-blown victory for humanity, enough people wake up, whatever. Until any of these things happen, I will just keep going, and it's quite an honor to be on this journey. And there's many people just like me who are just on this journey for life. That's it. They've realized this is, and there'll be a few times now I reference in this live stream a really cool webinar that I attended over the weekend, run by a man called Al, who's a life coach who's been doing it for 22 years and has had extensive experience with it and has a great wisdom about him and presence, and knows very much engaged with what he was saying. So some of the things that I learned from that webinar will be coming out in this live stream. One of them was a nice sort of analogy that there's this like spiritual mountain, right? And people progress on this spiritual mountain. And once you're at a certain level of consciousness, you're pretty much beholden to help the people below you. And that's why I first started getting into sharing stuff online back in like 2013. Was because of the people that shared stuff online, and that made me, well, I was just compelled to help people, other people, because I was so grateful of the people that put in the time and the energy and the effort to actually create content and put it out there and help others on their awakening journey. You think, talking nearly 10 years ago, is very different to how it is now. And I imagine there was a lot less people awake. Well, there's a lot less awake people, and it was a different world. And then even to find other people, there was still a lot of us. I still managed to gain a lot of following. All of that, I covered that in the last live stream last week. I still managed to get a following of tens of thousands of people and reach hundreds of thousands of people every week. So millions in total. So there's been a few interesting developments in the past week. Nice to connect with you guys again in this format. This is definitely something I will continue to do. Next Sunday, it might be a slightly different time, but then after that, it will be this time for the foreseeable future, 6 p.m. every Sunday for at least half an hour, maybe a bit more, 45 minutes. And then it might evolve from there, but that's the general format. And but next week, it might be slightly earlier. I still will do a live stream at some point, but the actual date and time, although if you haven't already, get connected to me on Telegram. Follow me on Telegram. It's just Travis Cook info. If you just search Travis Cook, I'm sure you'll find me. Yeah, that's the best place if you want to be up to date, like to the minute. That's where I post like all of the latest and that I come with, all the latest content, all the latest updates. If you just search Travis Cook, you'll find me. You'll see my picture. And if you can't find that, type Travis Cook info, and then you'll definitely find me. I will post the exact time that I am doing that live stream next week. And then otherwise, yeah, 6 p.m. And then if you haven't already, give me a follow on Rumble. It's just Open1 UK, Open the number 1 UK. And then once I get 100 followers on there, I can ditch YouTube and just live stream from there. And I know TikTok is, it's Chinese owned and it's blatantly spyware, and it's data harvesting, like I guess most apps do, anything on the internet really. But it's at the moment, you can get a huge amount of organic reach. So that is useful if you have an empowering message that you want to get out there to as many people as possible, as fast as possible. This past week, my following has increased like 1,200%. It went from about 40 something followers to like 580. One of my videos got into the algorithm and it's just sort of taken off. And I can see how quickly you can get a following on there, but then it's like it can get removed quite quickly. Already I've got a warning on that account and that restricts a lot of it, so it's like a backup account. And I don't know, I can see it's a bit of a temperamental platform, but it still can be useful. So yeah, that's cool. But Rumble seems absolutely solid as a platform. It's like, yeah, as far as alternative video platforms go, it seems pretty solid. But yeah, I'm very, very curious how things are going to go down with Elon buying Twitter. Now, as far as I'm aware, nothing's changed yet in the policies, because already David Icke, he had an account. He created a new one, I believe. It seemed legit, but that got taken down. It didn't take too long. Within a couple of days, his new account got taken down. So, and apparently he was appealing to get his old one back. So, as far as I'm aware, no real major changes of the actual Twitter itself, the app itself, has happened yet, even if quite a few people have been banned. And it was quite entertaining seeing Elon Musk walking in there with a sink, I have to admit. It's an interesting timeline. It's hard to say exactly what's going down. Is it just a changing of the guard? Is it like a snake shedding its skin and getting rid of some of the lower pieces, whilst the people that the dark forces at the top are still controlling things and manipulating things? That could be what's happening. It's hard to say exactly. But there's definitely something changing. Something's happening in amongst that sort of dynamic. And then Hillary's posting something, and then Elon's literally just going there and like saying, hey, look, there's actually more to this. And that's pretty huge. Like I say, the only thing, it could be that there is a wave of positivity getting into positions of power, but it could also be that there's another, just a shedding of the old guard, and part of the control system is getting taken down by another. Hard to say for sure. But it was interesting. There's something happening. And best case scenario is that, yeah, Elon's actually supporting, maybe even just in a neutral fashion, but like free speech and within limits, of course. Like, it doesn't, there has to be, at least on a platform like Twitter, some sort of, it can't just be a free for all for everything and extremely, or in either side. But if they're shown to be like shadow banning, and that gets exposed, this account might come back to life. If it then somehow forces the hand of other social media companies to then change their stance on shadow banning, I'd be so grateful, because then this account would have its true potential realized again. It's 52,000 people and it reaches a fraction of how many people it should. I mean, it's nice to have all you guys here on the stream, but still, I should have a lot more people here. Just really, this account has gained so much of attention, or so much work and time and energy has been put into this account, and it's created such valuable content for people. And it's been such a beacon of light and vibes, and posting all of the protest videos from all over the world, and just continually maintaining a vibe and a story and a thread and a yes. This account should be reaching a lot more people. So that would be nice if it somehow exposes the shadow banning and that ripples out onto other social media platforms, that their hand is forced, so they have to then change their shadow banning policies. Wouldn't that be something? That'd be quite inspiring. So we'll see if that actually comes to fruition. Something that's in a way kind of good, like either way, is we will see what Elon Musk is about here. This is sort of him playing his hand here. If it'd be very clear in the foreseeable future if Elon is 100% sort of evil, satanic, antichrist, or if he actually is genuinely for the people, at least in some regard. Because it's a little bit concerning that he's he's basically doing transhumanism with Neuralink. So has, at least publicly on Twitter, supported the vaccines. So we'll see. But we will see. That's the cool thing for sure. We will know whether or not he is on the side of freedom-loving people or not. And yeah, so this webinar that I attended, it really is a testament of what you can find when you look in the right places and you have the right connections, but you just have that vibe and intention. You put it out there, and you can find things in little corners of the internet that are really, really beneficial, really powerful, and can really change your perspective in many ways. I found this free webinar, and I attended most of the first part at the first day, and I caught the second day a little bit late, but it was the same thing over 2 days. But all in all, I think I was about nearly 4 to 5 hours in these webinars, and what a vibe and what power I gained in insight and knowledge and inspiration. And I just found this from following someone on Twitter who's barely got 1,200 followers, and but they actually are producing high quality work, and they've been doing this coaching under the radar for so long. It really was like just discovering a little hidden part of the internet, and it was very inspiring how, so there was a story that really stuck with me. And the host of the webinar, was telling a story about how he was, he was in this sort of business, and he was building himself up, and he was doing really well in some regards, whatever, and he sold something, got another one, whatever. But he actually ended up getting fired from his position, and he was quite distraught, and he was very upset the first time he ever got fired in his life. Obviously, he wasn't expecting it, or some sort of decision somewhere that he didn't know was coming. Then he goes back to his wife, completely disheartened and disillusioned, saying, "Hey, look, you should take the kids. We're divorced. I'm a failure. Blah blah blah." But the power of what the right woman could do for a man, or even a right partner in the right situation. Like there's a quote, like a woman could be the biggest drain on a man, or give him the greatest push. And I suppose that can work in reverse. But if a woman's in this example is playing the supportive role, how she inspired this man to continue doing what he was doing, it was absolutely incredible. It was like, this is what can be achieved when two people are in a relationship and they are actually working to each other's strengths. They can be like this solid rock of inspiration and motivation, and especially when things are tough, right? That is a testament. That is when the true, I guess, character or strength of the relationship will be tested. And I was really inspired actually by the story, and how much that interaction with him and his wife just then set him on a different course and completely changed his course of direction, but also gave him the motivation and the drive to keep going. And they stuck it out, and he ended up becoming very, very successful in what he's doing with coaching. So very inspiring, and a testament to what can be achieved when people are working in harmony, supporting each other in a relationship role. So there was something as well that was kind of curious. So Rishi's now the PM, whatever. That seemed kind of boring. I was kind of hoping that Boris would get in, just because it would have been peak clown world. Like, it would have been way more entertaining if Boris had somehow got back into being the prime minister. But alas, he is not. Rishi's going. It seems kind of boring, but whatever. It doesn't make too much of a difference anyway. But here we are. But him not attending the COP27 seemed quite interesting. Like, why would that not? Why would that happen? What's the actual purpose of that? Is it to? Because the agenda right now is climate change, right? It's climate change, climate change, climate change. Reduce net zero and all this bullshit. So him not going, but then Boris is going? I mean, what the fuck is that all about? What is Boris even doing now? Trying to raise funds to save and build Ukraine? Why the fuck are you not focusing on this country, man? But yeah, so him not going and then Boris going, that was a bit strange. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. If it's probably all just bullshit optics or whatever. And I do believe there is an agenda to sort of deliberately mismanage and tear apart the whatever trust is left in politics to then potentially replace it with something different. And that could be a part of the Great Reset, you know? So that is potentially part of it. And I can see that that could also provide a golden opportunity, though. That could be like, if they're deliberately doing this and they're deliberately mismanaging the government, then that might give us an opportunity to put something else in its place that's actually for the people, for freedom-loving people. And it could provide a bit of a golden opportunity here. But we'll see. We'll see. It's hard to say how successful they're going to be, if this current way of life and system will continue to go as it is, because, you know, who knows exactly how it's going to go down. But there are quite a few positive things going on in the world that make me think, wow, okay, have we approached some form of a critical mass? Are enough people waking up? Have enough people already woken up? Are enough of the people that are awake getting strong enough and powerful enough that we are starting to make serious positive waves here? The Elon Musk Twitter thing is something, you know, not sure, but Alberta, the premier of Alberta, standing up to the World Economic Forum, seemed like a really, really powerful, positive thing. The fact that now in Italy, the new government there is reinstating unvaccinated care workers and healthcare workers, that, you know, that is pretty huge. So if there's any unvaccinated healthcare worker in Italy that stood their guns and stood up for what they believe and managed to, you know, hold their morals and hold their values, now they're getting hired again. That is pretty amazing. I was like, wow, that's really cool. Imagine if you are that person, you are someone in Italy that after all this time, you held your ground, you held your own, you said, no, I'm not taking this, I'm not. It goes against what I believe in. I'm going to hold out. I'm going to stand to my ground. And then the government does an about turn. It's like, oh, actually, we need these people. So then they rehire them. Can you imagine how empowering that would be? But like, yes, I stood up for what I believed in, and here I am. I can now go back into my work, and I'm not vaccinated. I stood up for what I believed in. That's amazing. Yeah, and Stephen's put in there about the classic World Economic Forum line. That's such bullshit. That's some sort of mantra, and I really don't believe they're going to be successful. They've only got another 8 years apparently to pull this shit off. I just really can't see it happening, especially when there are pockets of resistance that are really quite powerful. And I do think the good guys have far more control and power here than is often attributed to them. And when I get into my metaphysical mind a bit, I do believe that there are some form of like positive secret societies, but they are actually secret for very good reason. And then we get into how, you know, there's free will here and humanity has to go through its lessons. But yes, I do believe in some way, shape, or form that positive secret societies exist. There are groups of people that are orientated to a freedom-loving humanity that are quite powerful and would have the means to access wealth and power, but it'd be a lot more under the radar than we would see of even the negative secret societies are not that secret. If you do the research, everyone can find out about the Rothschilds, and maybe there are layers beyond that if we get into other dimensions or whatever you want to speak about. But they're not that hard to find if you are someone like us who's a conspiracy theorist, if you like to use that term, someone who looks beyond the narrative, the mainstream narrative. If you look into things beyond the mainstream, it's not that hard to find them. But then looking at things like the Rosicrucians or Rudolf Steiner and who he was connected with, I think there might actually be some powerful, positive secret societies out there. It's an interesting thought, and I've just seen enough of this world that makes me believe that that's actually that's actually something that could be true. And yeah, so the climate agenda, I mean, I was sitting here and it's like, oh, it's actually been a really, really nice autumn here in England. I'm like, is global warming actually that bad? Is it really? And then, so there's like huge parts of the world that are currently uninhabitable, could then again become inhabitable. You could have large parts of Canada and places like that. This whole section of land that's just too, if you go, north of it, it's just too cold for people to live there. If places actually got a little bit warm, there'll be a lot more land to go around to live in. That seems like quite a positive thing. So that's sort of why I'm really interested to interview Paul Burgess, and I think it's going to be a really, really great interview. That's going to be coming up in 2 to 3 weeks. I've got another guest in between that, and then I've got a really awesome guest after that. So there's plenty coming up, and there's always room for more people. So I'm going to continue doing the Open1 podcast for a long time, but there's scope for unlimited. I guess there's like a huge range of people that I would have on the show. Anyone who's sort of awake and is on the path of awakening and is doing cool things to help people awaken, that's who I'm going to get on the show. And it's nice to have the variation. Like soon I've got coming up this guy who's like a fitness coach, personal trainer, and he's absolutely jacked. And I'm sure he's going to have a very inspirational story. So that's coming up. And someone saying hello from Argentina. Hi from Argentina. That's the cool thing about this account, is it did manage to reach everyone all over the world. It is just a shame it's shadow banned. I wonder what things are like in Argentina right now. I haven't heard much about them. I think most of the world is sort of, at least on the COVID front, pretty opened up. I'd have to double check that with Argentina though. Oh, and if it means anything to anyone, Issei Morales, someone that I've seen before, he liked one of my reels on my personal account about being against the masks. So I think that must mean that he is sort of at least partially awake in some way. He's at least somewhat awake. So that's kind of cool. And if you guys are on Twitter, I've been getting into Twitter recently, and maybe that's going to be pay off in dividends with the new management there. We'll see. But I created a thread which is just a really long post if you don't use Twitter, everybody. But it's about meditation, and I have actually, over the past 10 years, I've spent thousands of hours in meditation and different kinds of meditation, and I've really gotten quite a powerful technique that I teach people. I've taught people this technique, and if you want to actually learn meditation, you can get in touch with me on my website, traviscook.uk, and just send me an email or book a coaching session with me, and we can get into learning meditation. There are different ways to meditate. There are different forms. There's different, depending on what you want to achieve. And this thread that I made on Twitter, it covers a big part of what I've learned and sort of, puts it into a nicely refined post. Yeah, but there's a lot to it. And I think that there are many benefits that can be found. And it depends what you want. If you just want to de-stress, then there are meditations that will work like that, and they take you on a bit of a journey and they'll relax you. But if you actually want to genuinely get like more awareness and get better control over your mind, then there are other techniques. And that's the thing. There's a broad scope of what can be achieved and what you can do with meditation. So it's something that I found huge benefit from, and that's what I'd like to be a part of my journey going forward, is helping people with meditation as well as exercise, and as well as like developing a spiritual practice and just becoming more beautiful, empowered, strong, healthy human beings. That's where I'm at right now. I still do cover world events and what's going on in the world, especially if it's something inspiring and shows that it's not all negativity, and maybe the good guys are actually, in positions of power, and it's not all doom and gloom, because I think that's important for general morale and vibes. But my focus in my life is a lot now, well, it was before all of this COVID bullshit happened, is spirituality, personal development, becoming the best human that we can be, defeating limiting belief systems and empowering ourselves with positive programming. And there was actually really quite a popular tweet that I did that, ended up reaching tens of thousands of people, was about, and someone asked me about positive programming. And yeah, that's literally, if anyone is wondering, that's just like consuming positive content. Like this live stream would definitely be positive programming. But then also you've got like affirmations, and I'm sure pretty much everyone here on this stream must have heard about affirmations, right? They are really powerful. If anybody hasn't tapped into the power of affirmations yet, they are really, really powerful, and they can be something that you can use as one of the tools in the toolbox to reprogram your mind. If you reprogram your mind, you do it subconsciously. That's powerful. And if you have your affirmations and you have a goal and you repeat them every single day over and over and over again, I do think it's better if you say them out loud, especially if you've just woken up. Your mind is still sort of in a bit of a hazy wave state. I do believe you are more connected to your subconscious mind. You can imprint positive programs in there. And I've actually created an energy boost package that takes you on a bit of a journey. It's a guided meditation with breath work that then has affirmations at the end. And so the idea is to get you nice and relaxed, kind of energized, but relaxed. Get to being energized and relaxed, your body energized but relaxed. Get your mind in a sort of relaxed sort of state, and then imprint it with some affirmations. That's the idea. And that's actually available on my website. You can go and purchase that now. It's a new offering that I've created, and I'm going to be creating a lot more of them, different kinds of affirmation and meditations and prayers for different parts of personal development, spiritual progression, depending on what you want to achieve. I'd have a specific package, affirmation meditation, created for you to help you boost yourself in certain areas. So the first one is an energy boost, and it's specifically designed for people that might be, they come home from a long day at work and they're a little bit tired and they want to work on their projects, but they don't have the energy and motivation to do so. This meditation affirmation prayer package is specifically designed for people that, if in the shortest space of time, want to have an energy boost. They want to have more energy and vitality to either work on the side hustle projects, or have better interactions with their family and just be a bit more present and happy and bubbly and alive with their family, and for anything else really, anything you feel like you're lacking the energy and drive and motivation for. That's why I've created this energy package, and you can find that on traviscook.uk. You just go to the meditation section and you can see it all there. And if you have any questions, just send me a direct message on this account or email me at info@traviscook.uk. And just send me an email, send me a direct message, get in touch, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And then maybe we can open up to have a coaching session. I can teach you personally, or you can buy my package and learn for yourself like that. But it's really inspiring to be creating these sort of packages and getting into this sort of work, because I know this is where we can make huge positive change. When we change people's internal world, when we change the way people think about themselves, that has an outward effect on the collective consciousness. That is powerful. And if you can relate to how that can actually empower people on an individual level, and then that helps like the grander scheme of this battle or war, or whatever it is that you want to call it, that we're in, the good versus evil, then the self-empowerment is just so huge. It's so huge. I can't state it enough. I say it so much in my videos and my writings and everything that I do, but it's from personal experience of having gone through activism. Even 10 years ago, 2013, I first started getting into activism, and then having a lot of success with that, but seeing that truly the most greatest powerful change that anybody can do is if they change their internal world. Because if enough people change their internal world, it changes the external world. Even on an individual level, if you grow and develop and evolve enough on the inside, your external world will change to meet that in one way or another. And you can go in this positive upward spiral. Things can get better and better and better for you. It doesn't mean it's always plain sailing, but it can, in general, things can take a positive upward trajectory, and that happens first when you change on the inside. And that's why I think it's so powerful, and that's why I've created these packages that you can find on my website. That's when you change the internal world, when you make that on the inside, even if you can just like have a belief system that you used to have, and you replace that and reprogram it with a positive belief system, that is so huge. And I've seen it in my own life. Like even just recently, past 6 or 7 weeks, I've been at a new location with new people, and it's been so good to have a change of scenery, change of people around me. But I could see that there was a build up for that. There was a momentum behind that. I was making positive changes in my life before this change actually happened. And once that got solidified on the inside, the internal world changed really fast. There was a moment, and it was like within 1 week, I was in a new place, new job, new everything. And okay, the way I set up my life in the previous years has allowed me to have that freedom and mobility and agility to just like change my reality that quickly if I so choose. But I can see that the internal world changed sufficiently enough. And a big part of that was becoming completely sober, no smoking, because that was the last thing that I was doing. I haven't touched alcohol in like nearly 6 years. So that was, I think, I was having building up sobriety, and then a few other things came together, and I was like, okay, fuck this, it's time for a change, and boom, here I am at a new place. Anyone who's been following me for a long time can see the background has changed, and it's been hugely positive to have a change of scenery, change of people around me, and the momentum is building up. Now I'm doing these live streams, something that I think I should have been doing for quite some time already, but I'm now getting into it, gaining momentum of that. I really enjoy doing this. It's something that's it's engaging. I like to speak with the community real time. And someone's saying here, Alberta's new premier has invited all healthcare workers back to work if they will come back, and is now putting back pay on the table for all public service workers dismissed over mandates. That's huge, man. That's similar to what's happening in Italy, I believe, and happening at the same time. That's really quite powerful. So, for some reason, Alberta in Canada is leading the way, especially as supposedly Klaus has penetrated the cabinet of Canada, yeah. But now somehow Alberta has risen up against that, and that's anecdotal. There, I'm going to have to look into what's just been posted in the comments, but it's really that they are not only reinstating the old healthcare workers, but giving them back pay for being wrongly dismissed. That's pretty huge. Imagine if you are a healthcare worker that was like, okay, I'm going to stick to my guns here. I'm going to not buy into the narrative. I'm going to not take this vaccine because I don't believe in it. Even if I get fired, even if you take away my way to earn a living, I'm still not going to do it. I'm going to stand to my values and my morals. And then all these months later, the premier turns around and is like, hey, you were pretty badass. You stuck to your guns here. Here's all the money that you should have got from working, and we'd like to have you back. That's amazing. That's really quite powerful. So big ups to that. I'm gonna have to check in to see how legit that specific thing is. I know the new Alberta Premier is kicking ass over there. So yeah, that's really awesome. So we're coming up to over half an hour now. At the moment, they're going to be like half an hour, 45-minute streams. But yeah, 6 p.m. every Sunday, guys. You can catch me, and I'll be going over everything that's going on in the week. And I might try this on my personal account, though, because this account is just shadow banned to absolute oblivion. So I might try it on my personal account, Travis Cook UK, just to see what the engagement is like. I do tend to get quite good engagement on there, even if it's a fraction of the following. It's like 1,500 on there to 52,000, but the shadow banning is just ridiculous. But so I've been asked here about my thoughts on the Prime Minister. So I was kind of, in a way, gutted that Boris didn't get in, just because it would have been peak clown world to see Boris back as PM. I would have really enjoyed that. It would have just been really, really entertaining to have Boris as the Prime Minister again. And I don't think it makes a huge amount of difference. You know, it's debatable whether that does make such a difference who is actually the Prime Minister here. If there was somehow someone who was actually truly for the people, a freedom-loving person that managed to get into a position of being a prime minister, well, then that's a totally different thing. But right now, it does seem to be the same sort of group with a different face that keeps getting in. So it's kind of boring that Rishi is in. I don't know. We'll see exactly what happens. But it would have been really, really entertaining if Boris had gotten in here. But never mind. So someone said they need to correct what they did wrong. I'm wondering exactly what that's referring to, but yes, I think we have to correct what's gone wrong here in the timeline. Some way, somehow, in the past, there was a huge fuck up, and the bad guys got way too much power and way too much control. So now, as the good guys, I think it's up to us to rectify it in every way that we can. And I think that is quite possible for that to happen, that there will be a shift in balance. But it will take everyone who wants to have a freedom-loving world to really get on board and create it. And it starts with the inside, which I was speaking about earlier. It really is an internal battle. Once we can become masters on the inside, have divine thoughts and feelings on the inside and align with a higher part of ourselves, that changes our internal world, then changes our external world. And enough people do that, I do believe that will have an effect on the collective consciousness, that positive things can manifest on a collective level. And I think there's actually layers to that as well, like that there'd be like intermediary layers. And if you're up to like a national level, there could be countries that are more evolved and more advanced than other countries, more with a higher consciousness that would manifest collectively better things for that country. That's definitely something that I believe that can happen. So I think it is up to us. It is up to us, the freedom-loving people, to create a better world for ourselves and for the future of humanity. Really, I do, and I do believe there is a huge opportunity to do that. And should you be someone who chooses to do that, wishes to align with being a positive human being here, I do believe there is divine protection and divine rewards, if you like. There is actually benefits and perks to being on the divine side of reality. I really do believe that. That comes from just my own experience of life and what I have seen and what's happened in my reality, and how things can magically just work out, especially if you are in a really high vibe for a consistent amount of time. Opportunities just find you, and things can get really quite amazing and magical in quite a short space of time. But especially if you keep it up, and especially for me at least, if I'm just completely sober, my baseline vibe is strong enough that, and I'm so like I've been on my path and I know what I'm here for, my purpose, and I've realized that, and I just have to keep doing it and getting better at it, keep getting more personally developed and spiritually evolved, that yeah, things can manifest quite amazingly and quite beautifully and quite quickly too. So I think I'll keep it at that, guys. If you want to catch me again, it's every 6 p.m. Sunday, but next week will be slightly different, and I'm going to try it on my personal account, which is Travis Cook UK. If you want to join me on there, Travis Cook UK is my personal Instagram account. Follow me on there. The next live stream, I'm going to try it on there and see what the reach is like, because this account is shadow banned to oblivion. Thank you very much, Mark Zuckerberg. But yeah, thanks for joining me, guys. See you next time.